Observational Proficiency, how sharpening your everyday awareness makes you a better tester.
Good. So I'm going to repeat my comments on shower gel. It's a scam because it's just a cheap soap and added some water. It gets heavier so you can sell it. And it actually leaves traces on your skin. So, but that's just another observation that's not on the topic. So what I'm going to talk about today is about observational proficiency. It's a kind of grandiose name for something I've become interested in the recent past. I've always admired very good observers out there. So it's something which really fascinates me. How do people observe stuff and how do they get better at it? So let's see. Just also who I am. As Christine already said, my name is Illari Henrik Aegerter. I work for eBay. I haven't had much time to observe a lot at eBay yet because I just started there 2 weeks ago. And I'm going to see how they do testing. So observation, what is it all about? What's observation actually? So quite basically said, observation is there's something out there and it needs to come into our box, into the head. So and then we process it and we do something with it. And how do we do that? So mostly when we do testing, we have some input devices for our brain. So there are these senses that we use. We have the hand and the skin. I don't know of any testing project where sensory sensations were used to actually get some input as an observation. Also the nose, the smells. I don't know if anybody has ever done software testing which the nose was involved. The tongue also, probably licking software is not a very good idea. Then the ear, I've used the ear in my previous job. I was working for a hearing instrument provider, and I used my ears a lot because you needed to listen to the hearing aids, and that's something. But mostly what we use is are our eyes. So we have something in front of us, and we observe. And everything that hits our eyeballs creates a sensation somewhere in the brain. And I'm very much interested in how this sensation works and how we actually notice stuff. So yes, you can observe a lot by just looking. So there are 3 things that are necessary in order to observe stuff. First of all, there is attention. So if I don't pay attention, that's when I walk on the street and I just hit the lamppost because I didn't pay attention. So I didn't notice the lamppost. There was no observation going on. The second thing is an expectation. That's quite an important part for software testing. So I need to expect something. If I go there without any expectation, then it becomes very difficult. There is also the concept of inattentional blindness, which makes us blind to see stuff. And the third thing is curiosity. I talked to Ben Kelly yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and I asked him what's the most important character trait of a good tester, and it came like that out of a pistol. It's curiosity, and I fully agree. So you need to be curious in order to observe stuff. Something needs to catch your eyes, and you need to get involved in what you see. That's strange. Okay, whatever. So there are some biases actually that prevent us from observing well. One of them is this inattentional blindness. That's what I just said before, that I walk on the street and I just don't pay attention to something. I hit the lamppost, or I guess this Ferrari driver was also paying more attention to the power of his engine and then just rammed this post. I find that quite a good example for inattentional blindness. Here, what is it you see? Okay, good. That was fast. Do you know this picture, or have you just seen it? Does everybody see that there's a cow there? It takes a while because it starts as a blurry thing. There are some black and white stuff, and then you suddenly start to notice that this is the mouth, the ears, 2 eyes of a cow. So it just starts to pop out. I see Matt is still looking. Can you see it? Yeah. All right. The other thing is also, I think during testing, sometimes we just pay attention to where there is light. So we just search where it's easy to find things, and then we have this concept of the streetlight effect. So I try to search for my lost wallet where there is a lamppost and where there's light, and one thing. Then confirmation bias. So we have some mental models in our head, and we try to match whatever we have there. So here, what do you see? Can you see the man with the beard and the hair? Can you see clearly? That's not at all what's on the picture. There is no man and no hair. What this picture is about, it's a boy sitting on the lap of the father. That's the head, that's the cap, that's the barn. Can you see it? Once you have noticed the man with the long hair and the beard, it's very, very difficult to actually leave this impression and go back to what there actually really is. So immediately there is one picture and you cannot get rid of it. It's very difficult to get rid of it. So that's one of the errors that can happen. Here also, you know exactly how long an arm is. So an arm is kind of has a certain length. And you cannot avoid seeing a kind of a very, very stretched version of an arm. Very interesting here. So, okay. Now, honestly, who among you have read the number? Yeah. Yeah. So it's just something you watch. Ah, that doesn't matter. It's not so important. Come on, it's too long. I cannot get bothered. Now becoming better, let's do some exercises here. I thought I'll show this picture. You might be aware of this because it was once on the page of, I guess it was Shmuel Gershon's page. Can you see the cat? There's clearly a cat on it. Now what happens in your brain now is you have this shape expectation. You try to find the shape of a cat, and what you're also expecting that the texture of the cat clearly is distinctive from the background. But just in here, the cat is here. Can you see it now? Now the problem what happens here is you have this expectation of a cat's shape, and it's just not there. There is no real shape. It really melts into the background. And that was also mentioned a lot in Wolfgang Metzger's book on the laws of seeing, where you have this form expectation, and if this is violated, you just don't tend to notice anything. This was also in front of the hotel I stayed before I came here. It's quite interesting. Can you see the cocktail glass? So it's not my coffee cup on the side. It's actually in the vine here. There's a cocktail glass. I stayed in the former hotel for almost a week. It was there all the time, so it wasn't removed. Nobody noticed it because it just kind of melts into the background. Okay, now I'm interested. What is this? Anna? A picture? Yeah, okay, that's a very general description, but what's on it? An abstract picture? Can anybody see anything on it? Sige? Blue shapes. Okay, you're good testers. I try to mislead you. I try to make you find something on the picture that's not there and kind of just make up something. So if you tell people there is something there, then they mostly find something. Oh, yeah, of course, that's. I did that with my testers in my team, and they saw many things. They saw Bart Simpson in it. They saw many different things in it. So it was quite interesting. Then here, which of the two rectangles is longer? The left one. Okay. Now I didn't ask which of the tables is longer. I asked which of the rectangles is longer. They're actually matching completely. They're the same length and the same width. If you put them one on top of the other, it's the same thing. Now what happens with you take into the consideration the perspective. So it goes back, and then of course it gets longer. But if you cut these rectangles out and put them one on top of the other, they're equal. They're the same thing. But because your brain is already trained into seeing perspective, you actually stretch that to a longer thing. It's very, very difficult to actually see that as exactly the same form. I can send you the picture, cut them out, put them on top of each other, and you will see they're absolutely equal. They're the same thing. Okay, these are these kind of 19th century pictures. I have many of them. If somebody's interested, I can send them to you. there's also find something in there. So find the fifth soldier, it says. I don't know why they're called soldiers. These are just 4 boys, but there's a fifth one. And now they mostly tend to work like that. That it's somehow covered by something. Actually, you have to turn it around, and then there is a face appearing. So these are quite funny games to give to children, because children tend to find these stuff much faster than adults. I found my son is very good at that. He's 7 years old. He just kind of turns it around automatically and tries to find stuff. I saw this one here in the elevator of my former hotel. That's an earthquake button. So I was wondering what happens if I push that earthquake button. I didn't do that because I didn't want to cause a major earthquake. And I was really wondering, because I come from Switzerland, we don't have earthquakes. So it was very interesting to know what it actually is. And so I actually asked at the reception. They told me that it's just lighting up when there is an earthquake, and the elevator just stops somewhere to get off the elevator. But that's something. It's a mismatch between elevators in Switzerland and here. We don't have an earthquake. Well, it's not a button. It's just a light. Some books I can recommend on observation are, of course, Wolfgang Metzger's Laws of Seeing. I have them here. If somebody's interested in having browsed through them, then just tell me. This one is on inattentional blindness. It's quite an academic book. It's got a lot of data in it. It's not that. It's not such an easy read. It's got a lot of different variations of what happens if the attention is not paid on something and how that misses the observation. This is a beautiful one, How to Use Your Eyes. It has different chapters in it that describe how you should look at the pavement, how you should look at trees. It's a very beautiful book with many beautiful pictures in it. Then one thing is, in my experience, when I hire people, the better observers are the better testers. In my former team, I had a young Russian. He was an outstanding observer. He just noticed everything immediately, and he was also a very good tester. Then I used observational questions on when I did hiring. I let them explain, for instance, the entry hall they were spending 5 minutes in, and somehow the people that described in detail, they later on tended to be the better testers. So this is a hypothesis. I don't know if that's correct, if there is a clear link, or if I make that up. I would be very much interested. That's why I'm presenting here. I would start the conversation on observation in general. I would be very much interested in knowing your views, and that would be very interesting. So we got open season. I can also be contacted through my blog. I'm on Twitter. Yes, talk to me. All right.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right, number 74, Anna.
Thank you, Larry. You showed this picture for the 17th century, and I just realized when I was a kid, I really loved those puzzles. Because I'm thinking, why do I become a software tester? Maybe that's the reason.
Oh, that's the reason, okay. I actually have many of them. I can send them by email if you want.
Thank you. 65.
Yes, Thomas?
Yes, I was wondering if in your reading and research, do you have a hypothesis about whether observational skills are mostly innate or whether they can be improved through practice? And if there's any research you've done into that question.
I'm not aware of research. I did empirical studies with myself. Just a few months ago, I decided to try to be more observant. So that's... Oops. That was also the reason why I took these pictures. I tried to find stuff in my surrounding that is unusual. So the cocktail glass, I tried to kind of scan the environment and try to get better at that. And I have the impression I got better at it just by deliberately practicing it. But I'm not aware of any research about that.
Comment from Anna?
The SET game is a pattern recognition skills improvement game. It really, if you master it, then you start seeing things where nobody... SET game.
Okay.
S-A-T.
All right, I'll have to try that.
There is a good web page that was tweeted yesterday for the set game.
Okay.
And a new thread from Michael.
As a follow-up to that question, what are some practices or behaviors that we could practice, and what are some exercises that we could do to exercise in those improved behaviors?
I think you could take these 19th century cards and practice on them. So these are, I find them excellent to kind of try to find stuff that is not obvious. And after having scanned some of these cards, I tended to get better at how to search for things that are not obviously there. But
Can you articulate what you did to do that?
Well, the first step was actually that I immediately started to turn them around. So when I had them first, I just looked at them. Like kind of the first step was kind of take the card and turn them around and have it look on a different angle. And I also did it in the Z pane, so I tried to kind of swap them a little bit further. Then the other thing is it's kind of just browsing from a big distance and then really going into the details, kind of trying systematically to scan the pictures. But I don't have any methodology for improving or what exactly I did. So I couldn't say step by step what I did to find the stuff faster.
One comment on that thread from Thomas?
I think so, and you can moderate me out if this is not on the same thread. These are visual observation tasks, and I wonder about the general applicability of practicing being able to see things hidden in pictures. How does that help in software testing specifically?
I could imagine that if you have if you test something and you clearly focus your observation on something and something else happens, I could think of a link that would help to actually notice this stuff where you don't pay attention to. But this is, I don't know, I'm not aware of any studies that would confirm that.
Comment on the same thread from Michael?
We could collect a few in the room in a big hurry, I think, if we stopped and thought about it for a moment. Would anybody like to try to do that? You've already identified focusing and defocusing.
Yeah.
Turning it upside down, looking at it from a different angle. Alternating observational modes.
And we can keep talking about this afterwards. So last question from Ian, I think. So we're starting to run out of time. No? Okay.
All right, thanks a lot.
I think
for
we'll
coming.
leave it at that. So thank you very much, Illari. And if you want to keep talking about this afterwards, grab Illari outside the room. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Illari with Observational Proficiency. How sharpening your everyday awareness makes you a better tester.